Welcome to Timeless Conversations. My guest today is an eminent jurist, a trailblazer, a woman of substance. She happens to be the fourth woman appointed as Chief Judge of Lagos State, a position from which she retired in 2014. Her father was a judge before her, and indeed, she handed over to her younger sister. Now, that can only happen as a result of providence. My guest is none other than the retired Chief Judge of Lagos State, Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips. Ayotunde Phillips is a Nigerian jurist and former Chief Judge of Lagos State. She was born in London on July 26, 1949, to the late Honorable Justice James Oladipo Williams and Henrietta Aina Williams. She started her primary education in London before the family returned to Nigeria. Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips was appointed the 14th Chief Judge of Lagos State in 2012. She retired from the position in June 2014. She was succeeded by Honorable Justice Oluwafunmilayo Olajumoke Atilade, her younger sister. On the 29th of June 2016, she was sworn in as chairman of the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission, LASIEC. Apart from her love for law, Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips enjoys singing, reading, cooking, listening to good music, dancing, watching movies, and traveling. She also has a passion for gadgets and exploring the beauty of modern-day technology. You're welcome, my lord.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
It's really an honor to have you here. And I must say to you that you are the first female guest I'm having this conversation with.
Oh, that's nice.
Yes, it's nice to have you here. You were born in London to a lawyer father who later rose to become a High Court judge in Lagos.
Yes.
What was your childhood like?
Oh, very, very checkered. Checkered childhood. Like we grew up first thinking that we were white. Until we went to school and we were told, why are you black? So, I mean, like it was, but then there were not too many black people, in the early 50s. Yeah. There were not too many black people in the UK. Yeah. So we looked more or less like a different species. But it was a very interesting childhood, and I thank God for my childhood. Actually.
How did you survive that shock?
Well, nothing. I mean, like you're a child. You don't really, these things don't really resonate with you until you're much older. Yeah. And it's when we came back to Nigeria. I was 10 when we came back to Nigeria. That was the culture shock.
That's coming back to Nigeria.
Coming to Nigeria for the first time.
Why?
Because everybody is black.
Okay. And you were used to seeing
white
every other
people,
person
white, yes,
and then,
except for my parents and my siblings. And then you come here and then everybody is black. And they're speaking a strange language that mommy and daddy always speak. Because we couldn't speak, nor could we understand Yoruba. So it was a huge culture shock. And so it's a childhood that I would advise a lot of people to have because it makes you integrate very easily anywhere you are in the world.
That's fantastic. Now, you went on to Queen's College and then you passed out, went to read law at the University of Lagos. What motivated you to read law?
It was my father, really. My father chose it because I wanted to read history. First, I wanted to be a bilingual secretary. Then I wanted to read history. I thought history was my best subject until history let me down in HSC. Then I realized that, I let myself down. I don't know which, but I was let down. Yeah. And so my father said, look, go and read law. That choose a profession that you can work at until you're too old to work anymore. That history you'll only teach. Law is more interesting. So I took his advice and I read law. I didn't really enjoy it at first, but then gradually I began to understand it. But when I went to law school, that's when I fell in love with law.
With law.
the practice of law is totally different from the theory.
From the theory.
And it's more interesting, yes.
More interesting.
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a pause now because I want to flip realities. You said my father chose it. These days, would it be right to choose for a child?
Well, most children won't allow you to choose, actually. They say, Mommy, I want to be a footballer. That's the end of it. They argue with us these days. We couldn't argue with our parents in those days.
No way.
They tell you what to do. It's about, they won't tell you who to marry.
Yes.
But here, our children, especially these millennials, they are totally out of control. I mean, nobody can tell them what to do.
They will say, it's my life.
That's right. It's my life. That this is my life. It's my decision. I'm old enough to make my own decisions. And that's it.
So let's go back to your time.
Now, my time, you dare not. Before you finish the sentence, you've got you slap around your face and you're rolling on the floor. I mean, now if you touch your child in some countries, they'll call the police.
Yes.
So discipline has gone out of the window. And I think we are too busy working, making a living, really, to concentrate too much on all these finer things with these children. So they'll be left to grow up on their own, or with a house girl or a house boy. So it's really sad what is happening now, actually.
Now, if we go back further to your early years, after the law school you went to serve, your batch was the second batch of NYSC. And you served in Enugu.
Yes.
Tell me that experience.
Oh, that was beautiful. We're the second batch because NYSC started in 1973. I graduated, but I had to go to the law school.
Yes.
So the other graduates went on. The doctors and the lawyers stayed behind. The doctors to go to do their one-year residency, and we to go to the law school. And it was fun going to law school. I was posted to the then East Central state of Nigeria, which is the whole of the East, which is now Abia and Imo and Ebonyi. It was everything, the length and breadth. And Okpabi Asika was the administrator. And that was a good year. You lived on your own, you had your own apartment. You were free, you go to work, you got to meet other people. And I integrated very well with the Igbos. I even picked up the language, and I could speak it quite a bit before I came back. And when I left, I was very sad because I really enjoyed myself. I remember shedding a few tears at the airport.
Oh, now, when you hear talk about scrapping NYSC, how does that make you feel?
Well, I don't know. What the stories I hear now about what goes on in NYSC, it was different in our time. The camp still remains the same. The camp is very, very uncomfortable. But then, again, it's taking you out of your comfort zone. I can understand that. But, coppers dying or being kidnapped or not being well looked after, that worries me a bit. Yeah. Because we didn't have those problems in our time. We were looked after quite well.
The first time I met you, you were in LSDPC.
Yes.
Yes, you were in LSDPC. That's where you started your
my career.
Your public service career. Yes. Yeah. And you rose to be from legal officer. You eventually became the legal advisor.
Secretary
and legal advisor to the corporation. Now, thereafter you became... you worked in the Ministry of Justice, and then until you were appointed in 1994 to the Lagos High Court. Yeah. Now, question. Had you always wanted to be a judge?
Yes.
Why?
Well, I told you, let's go back to 1974 when I was in 73, 74 when I was in the law school. Yes. I fell in love with the practice of law. Yes. Going to court and addressing the judge. And I didn't like how it was done in some courts. I got the feeling that judges could be friendlier than what they are, and they could achieve more by not being so standoffish. So I made up my mind then that I would do it differently if I was ever to be appointed a judge. That I think, that it's a job that one should aspire to, and once you get there, it's service. You're not there to bully lawyers or litigants. You're there to serve. And that's when I decided that I wanted to be a judge. Now, when I went to LSDPC, that was not the proper line to follow, but I enjoyed working in LSDPC. 14 good years, and I learned a lot. So when I got to Secretary Legal Advisor, I didn't like administration very much because it was more of administration than legal work. I decided to cross over to the Ministry of Justice because from there, I could go back into practice and then I could also become a judge.
So now, I would like you to expatiate a little bit on how your early years impacted your service as a judge when you were eventually made a judge. Those 14 years in LSDPC and the extra years in the Ministry of Justice, what kind of vista did they open for you?
Oh, a huge vista, because in LSDPC, I was in and out of courts.
So, in and out of courts?
Yeah, so
Why?
yes, I was working, not as an accused person or a litigant.
Oh, no, certainly
I was
not.
there practicing law
Yes.
as an officer of the Lagos State government, as a legal officer.
Yes.
So I came in contact with a lot of issues, a lot of cases, a lot of matters, and even overhearing what goes on in court before your turn comes. You get to learn a lot.
Yeah.
So I'd learned a lot about procedure, and I'd learned a lot about practice. So I was very well versed in what was going on in the courts. So it wasn't strange to me. Now, the only difference was that I didn't sit down with other lawyers abusing the judges before they come out. I'm on the other side of the divide,
Yes.
where lawyers sit down and abuse me before I come out to sit. So that was the difference.
Yes.
And that was the first thing the Chief Judge, Justice Ayotunde
Yes.
of blessed memory, told us that, well, you have left your friends where you'll be abusing us. You're now coming to be abused, so get ready. So that prepared me a lot for being a judge. And even when I was in the Ministry of Justice, I eventually became the Director of Civil Litigation. I was back in the courts again. So, I mean, the courts, I was very comfortable in courts.
So apart from seeing your dad as a judge, which would have had its impact on influencing you to become a judge, right? When you started your legal practice or your legal professional life, you saw that there was something still to be learned in that profession.
Oh, yes. The law changes every day. You're constantly learning and you must be on top of it. Otherwise, the lawyers will make a mockery of you in the courts anyway. So, I mean, it's a constant learning process.
So in 1994, you were appointed a judge of the Lagos High Court.
Yes.
And your younger sister, Honorable Justice
Atilade,
Atilade, followed suit not long afterwards. That probably laid the seeds of what was going to become a classic, first of its kind in Nigeria's legal history.
Yes.
Were your parents still alive then?
No.
94.
94, yes. My father was alive. My mother died in 1980. My father was alive.
How did he feel?
He was
having his two girls
Yes.
come to the bench.
When my sister was appointed in 1996, she was appointed 2 years after me.
Yes.
He was so elated that he said, well, he can die now, that he will die fulfilled. And he died 2 years after that.
So in 1998, your dad died.
He died February 14th, Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Wow. Well, he died with a lot of love then.
He did, yeah.
And you, his two girls, I'm sure that's what my girls, that they will say.
Yes, my daughters.
You must have been shattered.
Very, very devastated. I mean, I thought my father would live to at least 80. So he just fell ill so suddenly in December. It was Christmas, 1993, that he fell ill. No, sorry, 1997 that he fell ill. And he was dead. About 6 weeks after that, he was dead.
February 14th. Wow, that must have been
Really painful. Like, not a day goes by that I don't remember my father since then. He always comes to my mind.
to your mind. You know, where I'm going is that you became chief judge
Yes.
of Lagos State.
Yes, in 2012.
That was 2012, yes. And then in 2014, your younger sister
Yes, I retired, and my younger sister took over.
took over from
Yes.
you. That was the first time it was happening
Yes.
in the annals of our legal history in Nigeria. You would have wished both of them or one of them.
Yes, to see that. I mean, like, it's so sad. But, well, we thank God. Wherever they are in the universe, I'm sure they will smile. They'll look down and they'll smile. That we've done them proud.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Now I want to ask a question. Sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry. I mean, here you are, two females, same father, same mother, and they're in the same profession. How has that played out?
Well, yes, well, I would not deny that there wasn't any sibling rivalry. There definitely was. My sister would deny it, but I know that there was. But, you know, like, I just thank God that I'm the first, and all the things that the Lord provides one to be the first, the Lord has provided for me. So I never felt threatened in any form. And I was able to handle it with maturity. I'm sorry if I sound as if I'm blowing my trumpet, but
No, please blow it. It's allowed.
if I don't blow it, it'll get rusty. So I think I handled it very well myself, and so it wasn't really very apparent, but I can assure you it was there.
It was there. It was there. Now, because it was there, I'd like to ask this question about the girl child. You're a mother, you're a grandmother. Would you say that the girl child in Nigeria is marginalized?
To some extent, yes. Like, okay, I'm now in the political realm. We don't see enough females being placed in elective office as I would like to. And Nigeria doesn't rank too high in having females. I've forgotten the figures, but recently I was given the figures. We're ranked quite low. We could do much more for the female child. The men could allow the women to have more elective positions. Even in the local government elections that we're having, we have a few in 2017 that were made vice chairman of local governments. In 57, probably we'll get about 4 or 5, and maybe 1 or 2 as chairman. So the girl child is being marginalized.
What would you ascribe that to?
I think it's just male chauvinism, misogyny at its height.
Really?
By you men. Oh yeah, definitely. Sorry.
Really?
Yes.
Why
It's
would you say
misogyny
that?
at its height. I mean, like,
What if the women are not coming out?
even if they do come out, you men will stop the women from going to meetings. You know, everybody knows that politicians have nocturnal meetings.
Yes.
So very few men are going to allow the wife to leave the house at midnight or 1 o'clock in the morning that I want to go and meet with Mr. Gubawo
Yeah.
and some other members, all male. Yes. You say, where are you going? How dare you? Nothing. If you go, you're not coming back to this house. Blah, blah, blah. So that stops.
Okay.
You know, the females from doing this. And unless it all changes and political meetings are held in the afternoon, then, you know, it might work. But very few men allow their wives really to go amongst men to campaign or go attend meetings or travel. Do you understand?
I do.
I think it could be our culture or our customs.
I was going to come to culture, actually. Don't you think culture has to do with it?
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Because in Europe and in America, the husbands, they take a back seat to the wife's ambition. Look at Kamala Harris. Yeah. The husband is with her all over, and he's known as the first gentleman.
The first gentleman, yes.
And he's very happy to be that. I mean, like, I can't see a Nigerian man doing that with the wife. There'll be first gentleman to who? I'm the only gentleman. Do you understand? I mean, you guys are too egocentric.
Oh my God.
You need to take a back seat and let us thrive get your knees off our necks
My
and
Lord.
let us thrive. Honestly, we need to change our way of thinking
Yes, I agree with that.
for the woman to be able to thrive. We don't only belong to the other room
Yes.
or the kitchen.
Yeah.
We belong in the forefront of the political affairs of the nation. And I can assure you, if a woman was heading this nation would be far better than what we are now.
Talking about heading something, you're currently the chairman of LASEC, that's the Lagos State Independent Electoral Commission.
Yes.
How? This is markedly different from your last
Oh,
calling.
yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
But what are you bringing to bear here?
I guess my years as an administrator, as chief judge, I was an administrator. As secretary legal advisor of LSDPC, I was an administrator. I came in here blind, I must confess, totally outside my comfort zone. In fact, like I tell everybody, I used to avoid politicians like the plague all my years of service. And now I'm thrust into their midst to organize elections. So I think it's just, I found out really that there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not rocket science. All I have to do is just provide a level playing field. We as a commission, we just have to provide a level playing field for all the actors to participate in. And then we're free.
What levels of elections are coming up? I know that there's the local government.
Just the local government, that's all we have.
Just local government.
That's all we handle.
Chairmanship.
And vice chairmanship and councillors.
And councillors. That's a lot.
Well, for 57, it's quite, like, Lagos is like, it's like a country.
Yes.
Lagos is bigger than Gambia.
Yeah.
And some other parts of West Africa. So it's like when Gambia is organized, because we went to visit Gambia a couple of years ago to visit their electoral commission. And we could see that, I mean, like, it was just like taking Alimosho and handling Alimosho local government. So it's quite a lot. It's quite a lot.
Well, how prepared is the commission for the election?
Now,
Yes.
we're quite prepared. We've done one before. Okay. We did it in 2017. And we had a baptism of fire because we were appointed in 2016, and then the next year, we just had a year to get acquainted. Yes, but now, you know, I'm not saying we're gurus. We're not gurus, but at least we've been there, done that.
Okay, so you could roll with it now.
Yes, can roll with the punches.
You roll with the punches now, and you're ready for the onslaught from the politicians.
Oh yes,
From all parties.
we have that every time, but this time it hasn't been so bad. If you see the primaries, the primaries are usually like that in all of the parties, not just one, all of the parties. But after that dies down, and we get to the elections proper, we usually have their cooperation. So far as everything is there, logistics is good. We have no problems. We're good to go.
You're good to go now.
Good to go.
Now, but what would you like to say to any of the politicians, or in fact, all the contestants now? What would you like to say to them? Because I know the elections are close.
They're close. Well, they've just finished the primaries.
Yes.
And we're going to now start with the validation. I think next week or the week after, we're going to start the validation of candidates. Right now, we're in the process of where there's substitution of candidates or withdrawal of candidates. When that is over, and we have a list, we do the validation. And at the validation, we look at all their credentials, and then we publish the final list. But I must say, let me quickly add that we cannot choose for the parties. It's whoever the parties want as their candidate that will be their candidate.
That will be their candidate.
Yes.
Now,
We don't have the power to pick or choose or say or disqualify anybody.
talking about choice, I want us to go back to your core legal profession. We've seen that judges are very, very pivotal in the maintenance of law and order in any society. Because of that, the question is, who really should be a judge? And is there any age, as appointive age, that at this level, this is the age at which you should appoint somebody a judge? Who should be a judge?
Well, I think a person who has an innate sense of justice should be made a judge. Because sometimes it's not black and white. You have to sit down and really look at the facts and balance the facts. And in order to do that, you've got to be mature enough to understand. So I don't support a 30-year-old or 32-year-old being made a judge.
That's a High Court judge.
The High Court judge. Magistrate, yes. You can put a 25-year-old as a magistrate. He or she will learn as she goes along. But when you become a judge, I think, you need to be at least 40 years old.
Okay.
Because that's, I see, as a mature adult. A fool at 40 is a fool forever.
Forever.
So, and you should have shown signs over the years of having that level of maturity in order to see things in the proper perspective and, banish all childish thoughts. Of course, you still make mistakes. Nobody, that's why we have the appeal courts.
Oh, yes.
And nobody has a monopoly of knowledge. But, by and large, 40, I think is a good age.
It's a good age. Now, see, one of the sacrifices, many sacrifices that judges make is almost like a loss of their social life.
Yes.
How were you able to cope? Because I know you're a very sociable person.
It was difficult at first, but then I got to realize very quickly, you learn from experience. Like I went to a party, and somebody who had a case in a brother judge's court, just because they knew that that brother judge and I were close, came up to me, plonked himself beside me and began to tell him about his case, how I should please talk to Justice XYZ to do this and do this and do that. Then I realized that, I think I'm in the wrong place. Don't make yourself accessible to these people. Because either you shout at him to get up and don't talk to me there, or you just listen to him and say, okay, you see what you can do, and don't do anything about it. So don't put yourself in that position where people can come because this is Nigeria, they will ask you for favors.
Okay.
So I quickly learned to stay at home. And especially when it's family things. If I must go, it's just to pop in, say hello, I'm sorry, I'm very busy, but I just said I had to pop in and see you. Give whoever you want an envelope, and in 30 minutes you leave the place. And in fact, it is so bad that now that I'm retired, I still don't like going to parties. I've done so for so long, not going to anywhere, that now I find it difficult to get up and go, get dressed and go out.
So it's like you are now used to the company of you, yourself and you?
Yeah. I love my own company. I watch Netflix, I watch Showmax, I watch Amazon Prime, Amazon Video. I watch, programs. I have all kinds of programs on my iTunes. I love my own company, and I really don't like going to parties anymore because I've kept away for so long. And now that I'm in this political, atmosphere, all the more reason.
Why you should?
When I hear that, who's going to be there, and they mention one politician's name, I said, okay, thank you very much. I'll just stay at home. I don't go anywhere.
Now, because of our society and the influence that the family has, the extended family especially has on us, you survived that.
Yes.
How? No scandal.
Maybe I'm lucky. I never got caught. That's the 11th commandment. Thou shalt not be caught.
Be caught.
But I don't know. You have to be circumspect. You have to be circumspect, and you have to be sensible. That's why I said maturity. Yeah. Before you're made a judge, you have to be, you have to know, have that sixth sense that this thing, if I'm caught, how will I explain myself? Do you understand?
Yes.
It's a sixth sense. I prayed for it, actually. You have to pray to have a discerning spirit.
Yeah.
If you do, and God gives you that discerning spirit, you'll keep away from trouble. So anything that can remotely cause embarrassment to me, I do my best to keep away from it.
It's still Timeless Conversations. We'll be taking a short break now. We'll be back soon. Welcome back to Timeless Conversations. My guest is Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips. You're a mother and a grandmother. What has that experience been like for you?
Beautiful experience. I remember holding my first child, who is now a magistrate, after I just had her, and it's a totally different I mean, like, first of all, my body had changed completely after that experience. And I now held somebody in my arms that was more important than myself. And of course, that's when I stopped waking up at noon. I've only started doing that now that I'm retired. But all my childbearing years, I mean, you're up at 4 o'clock in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning doing one thing or the other. It's a beautiful experience. And I mean, like, it's something that every woman should experience in life.
But you know, when the modern Nigerian woman experiences childbirth and she has a retinue of people around her, her mother, her mother-in-law, aunts, and all that. In your time, that was what it was like?
Yes, I had my mother-in-law. My mother was working, so she couldn't. Yeah. But she would come and pick her up at weekends. But my mother-in-law came to stay.
But these days?
I really feel sorry for my daughters-in-law, actually, and my daughters. Because there's nobody really to help out. And they have to do it themselves. And even putting the children in nursery is very expensive. So it's totally different. It's a totally different ballgame. And that's why they're not having so many children. I had 4 children. My son has, one son has 3, and another son has 2 children, and that's it. They're not willing to have any more.
Yeah, but they will say something like the cost of education.
Yes. Even before he got to education, my son, he was living in England with his wife, my first son, and he said that he was paying over £1,000 every month for daycare. That's preschool. So it's very expensive. And because I have 6 grandsons. So I've been begging them to please give me a granddaughter. And they just said, when I start talking about it, they all start leaving the room.
One after the other.
One at a time. Please, mommy, please. That's not what is important now. It's how we're going to educate these little ones. And we as parents find that we still have to help out when we can.
But you talk about helping out. You know that in those days, as we would say, the extended family system was such that someone somewhere could be brought in and they will help you raise your child, and you help raise them. But now it's not like that.
I don't think the children want anybody to come in and raise their children. They're raising their children different to how we raise them. And they have Google. They go on Google. I mean, the other day, my daughter-in-law went on Google to find out something about one medicine I just burst out laughing that. Yeah. So Google is now the family doctor. Even vaccinations. Yeah. When I had my children, immediately they give BCG. Yeah. But here now, they ask them whether they want it or not. You couldn't get your birth certificate without getting BCG.
BCG, yeah.
But now I think they have a choice. So everything is different. It's so different.
Would you say that society is changing just because of technology, or yes, because the older generation really has not insisted on things being done the old way?
Well, I think we haven't been able to have any say, the older generation. Technology, I think, is taking over all these things. Even my grandsons, they teach me how to do certain things in certain apps on my iPad.
Yeah, well, that's because they have more time to learn it than you would.
We didn't even have iPad in our days. We didn't even have mobile phones. We didn't have cell phones. Now they have cell phones. So they ask, Grandma, please, what's your password for the Wi-Fi? So it's totally different. They're bringing up their children totally different to how we brought them up. And I guess we too were brought up by our parents totally different to how they were brought up. So it's changing. Each generation is changing.
It's changing. But you said something a short while ago about people working, that people are too busy working. What kind of solution can we find to that?
I don't know.
Husbands and wives working, everybody is working.
Maybe now because of COVID, that people are working from home. I expect it to change a bit. There'll be more time to be with it. Because I remember when I was working, I had to take my children to the daycare. I'll take the younger ones to the daycare, the older ones to their schools, go off to court, take leave at 1 o'clock or 2, pick them, take them home. And that's when I leave them at home with the house girl. And sometimes some of these house help, they don't treat these children properly. You come home and meet a child bruised, that he fell. Do you understand? So, I mean, like, it's a difficult thing. I mean, like, it's a difficult balance. It's a difficult balance. And now, with all these strange people and strange things we read on WhatsApp about what house helps are doing to children, like putting urine in their food, or, I mean, like, you don't know what to do. So now that people are beginning to work from home,
yes,
I think it will change a bit. Parents will have more time for their children.
more time for their children.
I think so.
Now, moving forward, social life for you in retirement, what do you enjoy doing?
Oh, I told you, I'm glued to my television.
Yes.
And I've been trying to write a book. But I seem to have I've got writer's block. Because I'm still on the first chapter. And my people are on my neck, like, where is this book? So that's what is keeping me busy. I do go out. I do church activities. I've not done much of that because of COVID. But now I've been fully vaccinated. I've gone back. Well, at least last week, Sunday, I was part of my duties as Deputy Chancellor of the Diocese. So that's what I do mainly. I'm not a party person anymore. But I do like entertaining in my home, having a few friends over for dinner or for drinks.
How active are you? How active are you in the QC Old Girls?
I'm quite active. I'm the chair of the elders, the co-chair of the Elders Network. So we're trying to organize activities for we grandmas as old girls. The new executive of the Queen's College Old Girls Association is very good. Yes. They've tried to incorporate us.
That's the one headed by Ifeko?
Ifeko, yes. Oh, she's fantastic. Yes. They've incorporated us, they involve us in what we're doing, what they're doing, because they recognize the need for the elders to contribute. So it's fun. I'm the chair of that network, and organized all kinds of things for we old fuddy-duddies.
Old fuddy-duddies.
to enjoy ourselves. And we do have all kinds of activities. But parties is not really my thing. Yes, not anymore.
Was in your younger days?
Oh, yes, I was the life of the party. Oh, yes.
But now, let's talk about something most people don't like talking about, and that's health. A lot of people don't like saying, this is my health situation, I'm working on it, blah, blah, blah. For instance, I am type 2 diabetic. I've been since 2008. Wow. And that's why you used to see me very active. I walk, I exercise, I do all sorts of stuff. Okay. I'm very careful what I eat and all that. Now, why should we share it? So that people can learn. Yeah. Yes. And,
very important.
Have you had any health scare?
I had a health scare 2 years ago. The doctor said that they found too much protein and calcium in my blood. So he referred me to an oncologist. That was in the US. So I went to the oncologist. They said there was no calcium. And I said immediately that, well, I think I've overdosed on the calcium. Because my doctor said my calcium was low, that I should take calcium supplements. Okay. So I got hold of these very sweet gummies that I used to chew like sweets. So I think that's what I did. I did myself. I did myself an injury by doing that. So I stopped taking the calcium, and that has settled down. The protein too seems to have gone. But that was a scare, because I thought, I burst into tears. I said, oh my God, I'm going to die. I've got cancer. But it turned out not to be so. But I'm hypertensive, and I'm on daily medication. And I'm pre-diabetic. That I'm just teetering.
I'm your senior.
Yeah. I'm teetering on the edge. And I've remained pre-diabetic, and I do my best. So now I'm trying to change my diet to be more of a vegan, although occasionally I must have a piece of meat or a piece of chicken. I mean, like,
It's good. It's good
can't
now.
punish me like that. That punishment is too much. But you know, I've tried changing my diet, eating avocados, eating fresh vegetables, lots of salads.
That's very good.
And it's helping. Not really to lose weight because my weight, I mean, I'm a lost cause. But you know, just to be, and my blood test last time in May, perfect.
Perfect.
I was even surprised. The doctor said, your blood, everything is good. Your liver enzymes, because my liver enzymes went up. They said I had fatty liver. So, I mean, one just, as you get older, these things do crop up. And I advise everybody, really, you need to just watch what you eat. Try and exercise. I'm no good at that, but you know, exercise.
Well, I used to see you exercise.
Yeah, in those days, but now I have a bad back. Okay. Whenever I walk for more than 15, 20 minutes, I get sharp pain in my back.
So maybe you should just do your 10, 15 minutes.
Just do
do it twice daily.
Just walk around my sitting room or walk around my house.
Yes. Twice daily. 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening.
Yeah.
You have 20 minutes for the day.
That's what somebody said. And I've got this
Tidbit.
Yeah, no, this is the iWatch.
The iWatch, okay.
So my heart rate and everything is there. My exercise, it tells me when to stand up.
Exactly.
That kind of thing, that you'll be sitting down for too long, stand up. That's why I wear it all the time.
It would also tell you to go drink water.
But really?
Yes, it does. If you program it, it will tell you to drink water.
Time to drink. That's to drink lots of water. Yes. Yeah. My doctors, both here, anywhere, they say, drink lots of water. As you get older, you will, unless you're very lucky, you will have an underlying condition. Yes, and that's why I locked myself away during the COVID. Yeah,
that was a very smart thing to do. It was very smart. Because, like I said to all of my older friends, you know, your generation is the main generation the thing was targeted. It's like, wait, Lincoln, stop. Nobody wants to die.
Nobody knows. That's why I locked myself away during COVID, because of underlying conditions.
You are a sweet tooth.
Yes.
And you agree.
Chronic.
A chronic one. And so what's your favorite cake?
Chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake.
Forest. Lovely. And then vanilla cake with ice cream.
Wow.
Delicious.
Okay, local food now.
Eba. With okra soup. Seafood okra. Fish. Snails.
All of those.
Prawns. Bala.
Wow. Which type of eba?
Jebu. Gari Jebu, yes. Okay. That will hold you here.
Yeah. But sometimes you don't smoke the gari.
Occasionally. But you know, eba is really my thing.
Is the real thing.
Smoking it is not really, only occasionally when I feel like, you know, having a little snack. Maybe with some fried fish. At this age, I think I should be able to eat what I want.
Exactly, and eat
everything
it well.
In moderation.
Everything.
In moderation.
So, on a final word now, what would you say has been your philosophy of life?
Live and let live. And live your life to the fullest. Make yourself happy. Love your neighbor. Be kind. Be generous. And as far as work is concerned, be focused. Just do your job as you see it and be honest about it. And the rewards will be waiting for you in the future.
One question I should ask you is your involvement with FIFA. You're on the FIFA Ethics Committee.
Yes.
What led to that?
It was Amaju Pinnick.
Oh, okay.
He just popped in here one day and said that my name was mentioned here. I didn't even know who he was. It was my PA that said, that's the big guy in football in Nigeria. I don't know anything about football. He said my name was mentioned to him to be on the FIFA Ethics Committee adjudicatory chamber, because that's where judges and lawyers usually sit, just to hear matters involving FIFA officials that have been either misappropriated funds or been accused of unethical behavior. Okay,
such as fixing matches and all.
Yeah, things like that, that's right. So that was 2017, which tenure ended ends this year. And then this year I was reappointed again for another 4-year tenure.
What has the experience been like?
Beautiful. I've had to meet with other lawyers and judges from other jurisdictions. I'm the only African on in my chamber. There are two in the investigative chamber. A lady from Kenya, and the chairman is a gentleman from Rwanda. So it's put Nigeria, I think, on the map vis-a-vis the administration of football. Apart from, having our Green Eagles and our Super Eagles and all those.
So truly speaking, you've been a trailblazer?
I don't know.
What's that been like for you? Yes, you do know.
Well, I thank God that
In your
it's
family,
very humbling.
Trailblazer?
Yes. It's very humbling, actually. And I'm glad that I'll be able to make an impact. And I just hope that I'm setting a good example for those coming behind me to follow.
It's been timeless conversations with my dear guest, the Honorable Justice Ayotunde Phillips. Thank you so much for coming on the program. I told you, I'm repeating it, you were and are the first female on this program.
Thank you.
As my guest, and it's such an honor to have had you. Thank you very much. Till next week, take care.
Hello, hope you enjoyed the news. Please do subscribe to our YouTube channel and don't forget to hit the notification button so you get notified about fresh news updates.